Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to episode 7 in this series in which I take a deep dive into the Havamal and explore each stanza in part, analyse it from both a heathen and a Stoic perspective. Being the Stoic Lokian, I am both Stoic, heathen / Lokian. And as I explained in episode 1, quite often in the past I've questioned whether or not those two philosophies go together, whether heathenry and Stoicism actually intertwine. And when you do a lot of research and a lot of reading on both of them, they do very quickly intertwine actually, and there's a lot of similarities between the two. And so I wanted to put those two similarities together in analysing the Havamal and taking time in analysing each stanza, as opposed to just doing a reading of, say, 20 stanzas at a time, which I've done in the past and realised wasn't really the direction that I wanted to go in. So thank you all for joining me. Hail to you. I will jump straight in with stanza 7. Thank you. A wary guest who to refection comes keeps a cautious silence. With his ears listens, and with his eyes observes. So explores every prudent man. So, stanza 7, first of all. Like much of the stanzas, when they follow on from each other, they can be quite similar to the previous one, and stanza 7 is no exception to stanza 6. I very nearly combined the two stanzas into one reading, into one episode, but actually there are enough differences to separate the two from each other, and they each have their own individual learnings. From an Old Norse perspective, from a heathen perspective, this stanza of the Havamal speaks to the value of humility and cautious behaviour, much like stanza 6 does, but goes that little bit further. The advice not to be proud of one's understanding emphasises the Norse emphasis on avoiding arrogance and overconfidence. We've all met those people, bit of a know-it-all. They don't get on well with others generally, or they might think they're getting on well with others, but actually the others have a different opinion of them. So this is it's a real good emphasis on that. Instead, the stanza encourages prudence in one's conduct. So again, as per episode 6, prudence equals judgment. So it encourages judgment in one's conduct, wise judgment, I would argue, highlighting the importance of measured and careful actions. When the wise and thoughtful visit a dwelling, their careful behaviour often prevents harm, I think is one way of looking at it. And that's not just in the sense of a dwelling either. It's being wise and thoughtful in your everyday life, in the everyday scenarios in which you find yourself. The stanza suggests that discernment is a valuable quality, judgment is a valuable quality, leading to strong and lasting friendships. From a Stoic perspective, this stanza, again in pretty much in accordance with stanza 6, aligns with Stoic values such as humility, wisdom, and virtue. The Stoics believe that wisdom is to be pursued humbly, understanding that there was always more to learn. The emphasis on cautious conduct reflects the Stoic principle of aligning actions with reasons and virtue, focusing on what is within our control. I was really tempted at this point to use Epictetus's quote of, and I'll paraphrase, something along the lines of, the most important action in life is to realise what's within our control and what's not within our control. And that, like I said, I'm paraphrasing, but ultimately it's a conversation I have every day, especially in the workplace, always talking about focusing on what you can control and almost forgetting about what you can't control, or using what you can control to try and influence what you can't control. So I didn't enter that quote in by the way, because I've got a different one which I feel is more relevant, which I'll come on to in a moment. The stanza's portrayal also as well of discernment as a valuable friend, again, like stanza 6 does, aligns with Stoic ideals of valuing wisdom and understanding in our relationships. The quote that I wanted to use for this, because actually it's very similar to the original stanza, was by Epictetus, and you will have heard this phrase in varying degrees throughout your life, I'm sure. But Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." A quote you will have heard in varying forms, no doubt, I'm sure. But it's one that emphasises the Stoic value of active listening and self-control in communication. It encourages us to be attentive and considerate listeners, using our faculties of observation and understanding before responding. And the practice itself aligns with Stoic principles, again, of wisdom, humility, and thoughtful engagement with others. So really, really powerful but simple phrase. 2 ears, 1 mouth, listen twice as much as you speak. Really powerful. In the modern world, this stanza absolutely holds lessons that that can really resonate with us. Humility and self-awareness, for example. The stanza emphasizes the importance of humility and self-awareness. In a world that often celebrates self-promotion, the wisdom of being humble and recognizing our limitations remains relevant. I'm a firm believer in that sort of humble approach to our lives. There's also the advice in there about being cautious in behaviour, and this advice reflects the importance of thoughtful decision making. It encourages us to consider the consequences of our actions and approach situations with careful consideration. And just as in stanza 6, stanza 7 also talks about how much discernment is valued. Wisdom and understanding are highly prized in the modern world. The ability to make well-informed choices and navigate complex situations is essential, because you will face complex situations almost on a daily basis. The stanza also as well goes as far to mention the importance of strong friendship and how strong friendships resonate with the modern focus on meaningful connections. Genuine relationships, for example, are often built on understanding, respect and wisdom, and that goes both ways: an understanding of each other, respect of each other, and a wisdom of each other's comings and goings and knowledge, and engaging in conversation, if you like. I love the ethical virtue as well behind this stanza. Both the Old Norse and Stoic viewpoints highlight ethical virtues. The stanza encourages us to act virtuously, understanding that our behaviour has a significant impact on our interactions and relationships. It goes a long way in doing that. In essence, though, This stanza serves as a reminder to approach life with humility, careful consideration, and a focus on ethical behaviour. It bridges the wisdom of Old Norse traditions, heathen traditions, with Stoic ideals of virtue and wisdom. And quite beautifully, it offers a guide to navigating the complexities of the modern world with grace and wisdom. And I love the fact that grace and wisdom part. And again, that, you know, I've said it a couple of times already now, that's where you can see that interconnection between stanzas 6 and 7, very similar, you know, a very similar vein, but enough differences to warrant its own episode in the series. So, as I will always do, I will end by reading stanza 7 to you again. So I appreciate you for listening. So stanza 7. A wary guest who to refection comes keeps a cautious silence. With his ears listens, and with his eyes observes. So explores every prudent man. Thank you very much for your time. Hail to you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you're enjoying the podcast, please leave me a comment, leave me a review, thumbs up, a like on the YouTube channel, that would be fantastic. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, that would be even better. Like I said, I do all of this just because I want to give something back to the heathen community, and your feedback is wildly important to make sure I'm on the right direction, or whether there's something else you would like to see. Would you, for example, like to see guest speakers on these episodes with me? Please, just anything and everything, any thoughts that you've got, I would appreciate it. Again, thank you for your time. Thank you for listening, for watching. Hail to you, and I will see you on the next one.